Hello, my name is Rinon, and I'm really excited for patch 5.3 of Final Fantasy XIV. The new content is fast approaching, with the release date being locked in for August 11th this year, and earlier this week we got a really good taste of what's to come in the future from the player live letter number 59. With that, we got the patch trailer as well. By the way, if you haven't seen that patch trailer yet, please get it watched right now. Don't worry, I'm gonna wait, it's fine. Go enjoy yourself. So, in the spirit of being worryingly excited and still having a couple of weeks to wait to actually be able to try out all the new content, today's video covers some of the most exciting things that we are going to be able to experience from my perspective, and honestly I think they might interest you as well. If you enjoy Final Fantasy XIV content a lot and you're looking for a YouTube channel that specialises in Final Fantasy XIV content, raiding and healing, I'd absolutely love it if you'd subscribe. I've got a lot of plans for patch 5.3 and I'd love it if you would check me out. Thank you so much. Obviously, while I'm mostly a dedicated raider in FF14 and I don't get to play around with some of the other aspects of the game quite as much as I'd like to, this list does not include only battle content. Patch 5.3 is what's called an off patch or a catch-up patch, so there's often going to be a lot of non-raid content, and honestly it's really worth trying out, and there's going to be an amazing variety of stuff for both the casual player and the more experienced player at the same time. So while we're going to be sat here waiting for 5.3 anyway, let's get into it. Here are the 5 things that I'm most excited to see. It would be utterly remiss of me to not mention the Puppets Bunker first of all, seeing as Nier Automata is absolutely one of my favourite games of the past decade. When the Nier collaboration was originally announced, part of me thought that it was too good to be true, to be honest. But after experiencing the copy factory back when it was originally released in patch 5.1, it genuinely was just an exceptionally good piece of content, with a direct canon tie into the Nier story and its predecessor being, in my opinion, one of the strongest 24-man raids Final Fantasy XIV has ever pulled out. The Puppets Bunker has all of the cards in its favour and it's absolutely set to succeed. We are finally going to get to meet and combat those shadowy, mysterious figures that we initially saw in the promotional art, and you're going to be able to see it on the screen now. We're going to get an extra slice of the absolutely incredible Nier music. If you remember that Weight of the World remix that was in the copied factory, I cannot wait to see what we get this time. On top of that, I generally think the 24-man raids are really good as a blind patch day experience with friends, so I'm very much looking forward to casually ploughing through it with my FC. Another reason I'm actually really looking forward to this is because the 24-man raid rewards a coin that you will be able to get for completion each week on a weekly lockout. Because this is an off patch, Square Enix will be implementing the capability to trade these coins in for equipment upgrade items, which were previously only available from the Savage encounters. So this is going to allow us to advance the I-490 Crystarium gear up until the I-500 augmented Crystarium gear. So the reason that this quite excites me is because it accelerates your ability to gear alt classes, because now you're going to be able to get those upgrade materials at a much faster rate, and then you can play around with additional jobs in Savage and current content, and you can just have a good time and explore different options that you were not able to do as easily before that. Next up is the Southern Bosnia, I still don't know how to pronounce it, front, which is the next step of the Resistance Weapon Relic quest and is scheduled to be released on patch 5.35, which as a note is expected to be around 6 weeks after the patch comes out, so late September is when we can expect this content. Relic quests have honestly never really been something that got me super excited in the game, and I've always been very conflicted in my opinions on them. Whilst they were always a very good time sink and they were definitely a great addition to the game in that regard, a lot of what you did ended up feeling superfluous. However, from what was discussed in the live letter, it looks like Square Enix have really learned a lot of lessons from their various iterations of both the Diadem and Eureka over the years, and they've built this Southern Front into a cohesive, fleshed out, and engaging piece of content. Not only are we going to receive what should be an item level upgrade to the relic weapons, which are currently at 485, we also get a new piece of content that looks like it'll keep us busy for a good long while. Eureka definitely had its flaws, but I believe most people who got the opportunity to jump into it near launch would agree that it evoked an incredible sense of community. Chats were active and players were everywhere trying to find out the best ways to build XP quickly, how to spawn the first NMs, and even AFKing chatting to one another. And let's be real, everybody remembers cheering on the people that were spawning the Fate. This new Save the Queen step looks to evoke that sense of community, but to add to it by incentivizing players to participate more actively. And with the new critical engagements and 1 versus 1 battles against enemy generals being something a little bit new new and fresh to discover for players. One extra bit of magic that this new Relic Quest step is going to provide is the capability to sample classes before committing to leveling them. You only need a level 71 job in order to enter this piece of content, and when you get inside the instance you will be immediately upscaled to level 80. So with that you can basically test out all of the new skills from 70 to 80 on the class, and on top of it you're going to earn XP whilst inside, and that XP is going to carry over when you leave the instance. I think this was one of the many reasons that Palace of the Dead was so beloved when it first launched, because it allowed players to try before they buy with new jobs, and I think that this does the same thing but for Shadowbringers iterations and changes, so I think this is a much appreciated addition. Now this one is a little bit different because I'm actually not looking forward to the Unreal Trial coming in patch 5.3 too much for the content itself. While it's definitely going to be fun for me to try out Shiva Extreme again as relevant content, what is really exciting is what this represents for Final Fantasy XIV in the situation that the Unreal Trials prove popular and are implemented more thoroughly across the board. We've already received confirmation that other A Realm Reborn trials will be upscaled to Unreal Trials as level 80 content in the future, but if this does really well, there is the potential to see Unreal equivalents of the Binding Coils of Bahamut, of Alexander Savage, any of that kind of content. If they find an excellent process that works successfully and is easy to implement, imagine further down the road we might have the capability to play almost any Duty Finder content in the game, upscale to Final Fantasy XIV's current max level thanks to the rebalancing that initially took place in this Unreal Trial. Imagine what that would mean for the game in terms of accessible content and the variants of things you would be able to do, even if they remained on rotation as discussed in the live letter. Maybe this is a little bit too unrealistic for me to hope for, and it's definitely a nice thought to have, but I do not think that this will happen anytime soon, this expansion, maybe not even next. But I believe that them laying the groundwork here could pave the way for something exceptional a couple of years down the road. I'm going to be upfront about it. I am not a story buff when it comes to FF14. Honestly, I still didn't get around to even watching the Shadowbringers story at all, and I'm no way by any stretch of the imagination a lore buff. But I will pretty soon be leveling a character on Aether Data Center from scratch and watching all of the story cutscenes so that I can kind of get a picture of this aspect of the game that I haven't managed to enjoy before. So if you want to tune into that on stream, make sure to follow me. There's my shameless plug of the day. That aside, this is the overall conclusion of the Shadowbringers story, and it will provide the payoff on everything FF14 has been working up to for the past year. This is going to be the big culmination of a lot of plot threads that have been in the making for a good half a decade at this point. On top of that, we have a new secret trial to enjoy, and if people remember the patch 0.3 trials from previous expansions, they are always an absolutely epic affair. Tsukuyomi and Nidhogg are both some of the finer trials in FF14 in general, so I am really looking forward to see whatever we get this patch, and I'm sure it's going to be brilliant. For those of you who do watch all of the cutscenes and do enjoy the game's story, have fun with it. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. For this last point, I am going to read you a quick quote from the live letter, so here it goes. There will be a new category called fashion items, and the new items will be added like how new umbrellas are implemented. Though this is currently still at the planning stage, you will get to, for example, hug a teddy bear while walking. This is meant to be a new system made for role players to enjoy. While I am by no means a role player, this sounds amazing. Accessories are something that have been sorely needed for a good long time in this game, and I am hype to be able to sit on a cushion that isn't a minion for once. Please look forward to it, because I am definitely looking forward to it. So what are you most excited about from patch 5.3? If you let me know in the comments section, I would love to hear what you think. And if you're going to be looking for guides and regular content come August 11th, please subscribe to my channel because I have a lot of interesting things coming up. I'm going to be doing guides for both of the EX Primals and for the 24-man, and I've got a lot of interesting content planned for patch 5.3. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.